interesting discussion about, we are celebrating women and of course young girls in STEM. And STEM is all about, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I'm informed that there is some a bit of inclusion that will be added on that, but that one will be taking a look at that later on with my guest, Professor Ruth Wanjau. She is a professor at Kenyatta University and majorly based on, chemistry. And of course, she did, or rather, they did a very, a research based on this, employability part of STEM here in Kenya. And of course, she'll be shedding light on that. And of course, even as we take a broader, picture of, how this inclusion as far as STEM courses are concerned, and what are some of the progress that we have made so far, even as we celebrate the 9th, let's call it anniversary since the inception of it in 2015. It has been quite a journey and quite a remarkable story, but we are just about to find out what else shall we expect, even as the world actually, prepare to commemorate this very important day of, remembering, or rather celebrating women and girls in STEM. And of course, Prof, thank you so much for making time to talk to us on a very important topic regarding these, courses, like the STEM courses that many people call them. It has been stereotyped as a male-dominated, field. It shouldn't be happening, but it's happening, and it's here with us. And take us through first, before even we talk about, how to slay the dragon. Take us about this very interesting, research that you did, and what are some of the findings? All right.
Okay. Thank you, Evans. Allow me to start by adding that apart from being a professor in the Department of Chemistry,
all right,
Kenyatta University, I'm also a researcher at the Women Economic Empowerment Hub.
All right.
Yes, and in the year 2021, the Women Economic Empowerment Hub of Kenyatta University invited interested researchers in several projects, and one of the projects is on assessing the impact of mentorship,
all right,
apprenticeship, and internship programs. However, in this program, allow me just to zero down to the mentorship program.
Okay.
And the mentorship program we did was based on the UNESCO Kenya government that initiated a mentorship program in the year 2014.
All right.
And they have been mentoring students in our secondary schools all over the country. And therefore, this project or program that we envisaged to assess its impact is the Kenya UNESCO STEM mentorship program on career choice and employment of young women in Kenya. And we went ahead and carried out this study, and we had about 117 participants. And as we have heard, we were assessing the career choice, the employability, and also the career progression.
All right.
And when we went to the field, we were able to get a sample of 177 respondents. And from that, we were able to come up with some findings. One is that of the ones who went for tertiary programs, 57% of them were in the STEM program.
Okay.
Compared now to business and humanities. Again, when we went deeper, of these 177 participants, we included those who are involved in the STEM mentorship program and those who are not, because all of them are our children.
All right.
And again, we zero down now to whether the STEM mentorship program had an impact. And for sure, we found that it had a minimal impact because 58% of those who participated in the STEM mentorship program were able to choose those careers, those courses that will take them to careers in STEM field, compared to 56% who did not attend the mentorship program. So as we can see, there is that minimal gap. However, we can see there is some benefit in participating in the STEM mentorship program.
All right.
Again, when we went ahead and considered the careers, we realized that 14% of those who participated in the STEM mentorship program, they were able to get jobs. And remember, these are students. By the time they were going through the mentorship program, they were already in secondary school, so they were not working. So it's now that they went to the tertiary colleges and then they started working. And we already found that 14 of them were already employed. So we can again say this could be the reason, or the STEM could be the reason as to why they were able to get those jobs. However, we went ahead and we wanted to find out about the income. And when it came to income, we found that most of those who are employed were earning over 20,000 Kenya shillings. So in other words, we can then say that the STEM mentorship program had a minimal benefit on career choice and employability of these young women. And even as far as the career growth is concerned, I want to believe it is there because, you know, we are there and we are still growing. Thank you.
Now, this is based on that finding, and of course the research that you've just shed light on. It has highlighted some key aspects, like for example the minimum impact. We should have been further down the road because considering that this is, we are heading to the 9th year since UNESCO marked, or rather this the 11th day of February as a day to actually celebrate women in STEM. And one of the main reasons was to actually, underrepresent women. But we have seen, in terms of trying to reduce the gap between men and of course women, we still lag behind, and of course it has been a tall order to achieve that. So why has it taken so long, and why are we not hitting the intended target and objective of this? What could be the reason?
Thank you very much for that question. I want to believe from the study findings, we discovered, or we concluded, that women are eager to be mentored. And it's like the mentorship program really took time. And even when it started in that 2014, it's only a small clique of girls who are involved. It's not all of them. And actually, those ones who are not involved in the STEM mentorship program, they were crying. They were asking, how come we were left behind? I'm sure if we had been involved, we would have been far from where we are.
All right.
And therefore, I would say is because I don't know whether we are busy, but mentorship is key. Mentorship is key.
All right.
Yes.
There is another aspect about employability. And of course, your research was rather mostly based on, the employability aspect of it. And when you look at this, the issue of employment, this is where there is some quote dilemma. You have the expertise, and of course you have the qualified let's say learners who have undergone various institutions, graduated with the skills required. But do we have enough workforce to actually cater for this a number of growing graduate as far as the STEM courses is concerned? In as much as we advocate for equality, we push for this, but do we really have the labor force and the job market that can actually cater for this labor force? All right.
Okay, thank you very much. I really would want to say yes, we do. The only challenge we have is we are lacking in collaboration.
All right.
Yes, are we collaborating with the industries? Are the industries aware that we have these people with the skills? And I think that is an area we need really to think more about. Again, how about self-employment? Because when we talk of white-collar jobs, we cannot fit in white-collar jobs, all of us. Are we then skilling our STEM graduates with entrepreneurial skills that can enable them to start their own businesses? And then are we also ready to help them with startups? Yes, those are the questions that we may require to answer. And I'm sure with this one, then we can go very far.
All right.
Yes.
Very critical questions, Prof, if you ask me. And there is another area of concern that, for quite a long time, it has been an area that, need answers. And I'm talking about shattering the glass ceilings, because there is this some sort of stereotype that, STEM courses are associated with men. And of course, now this is the jinx that we are facing, and we really have to some point break it at one point. But from, insider's point of view, as a person who has dedicated your life and of course maybe most part of your research to try and navigate through these uncharted waters, do you really see maybe a day that the field will be level?
Thank you. Allow me then first of all to give some statistics and global statistics.
Okay.
Actually, it is said that 12% of women are in the National Academy of Sciences globally. Again, 22% they are in the artificial intelligence. Coming down, 28% are in the engineering field.
All right.
And then, of all those who are in STEM, both men and women, only 33 are women. So you can imagine those glaring statistics. And therefore, allow me to thank even my researchers in that AIM program, and also our director and even the board for allowing us to carry out the study, because one of the recommendations is that even the mentorship program need redesigning. Yes, so that we can be able now to achieve the level ground. We are talking of the stereotypes. Yes, what can we do about it? Is it possible for us not even to start at the secondary school? Can we go to right to the PP1, PP2? Because we are teaching them science, but that is classroom science. And even when they do the practicals, are they continuous practicals or just intermittent? Just, it's like a hit and run. And it's like, it's like a show, actually. And therefore, those are some of the questions that we may require to answer as STEM mentors, as institutions of higher learning, even as a country, and also the world at large.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, even as, you ask those big questions, and of course, at some point, if we have to achieve the equality that you are fighting so much for, then we'll have to answer those questions. And here is another question. And this is about, the mentality and the perception. Because if, in comparison, if you take a look at, analysis, when you go through these, STEM courses, there is a general perception that these are just associated with men, and it's something that has been there over time. So if you are to fight for equality, then you'll have to deal, it's like you're dealing with a broader, it's a bigger battle for you to actually battle it. And of course, for you to win this war, then you'll have to embark on, now changing the perception. So where do we begin, as far as fixing the problem is concerned? So do we go and start fixing the mindset, or where do we actually start?
Okay, but now we are asking whose mindset? Yes, I know, like we tell our young girls, don't do this, it is for men, and we have been told. I remember, even for me, anytime I tell people that I'm in chemistry, it's like they didn't expect that. Yes, you are a woman. How come you are in sciences? But then what is the challenge that we are facing? It is because we are not bringing our women scientists who have made it into the limelight. For example, there is Anesta Ruto, who is the manager of the Rural Electrification Authority. Have you ever heard about her?
I'll be honest.
Yes. So there are others. Okay, I know Dr. Purity Gena is coming out into the public because of the CBC advocacy. But we also have Professor Catherine Giller, who was the executive director, African Academy of Sciences. You know, we are not bringing these people into the limelight. Even for you, have you invited them in this TV channel to at least empower our young ones? For example, Professor Catherine Gira right now has been appointed among the high tens by the UN. Yes, to help in adjusting the SDGs on science, innovation, and technology. But we're asking, even when she was appointed, did we celebrate her? Are we celebrating our women? Even that 11th of February, how many have we celebrated? You know, that is a question we may ask. And even here, our own Diphisirio is a professor of chemistry, Professor Dhorua. Yes, have you invited her?
Big questions. And of course, that's food for thought. And you've actually, raised a very important, point. And of course, yes, we are celebrating women and girls in, STEM, or rather basically tech. But when you look at, what you have just, highlighted, do we really have reason to celebrate, really?
Yes, we do. We start small. Yes, you are not born that size. You started as a small young man. Now you are a big man who is taking care of himself. So if we did that, I'm sure we can achieve a lot. Yes, we can achieve, because you don't know how many women are being impacted now to just hear that I'm a professor of chemistry. Yes.
Now, so how do we now get our young girls to actually embrace these STEM courses? Because for you to change the future, then you must begin from basics. And the basics, the leaders of tomorrow are the, our young girls right now in this particular discussion. So how do we get them to actually embrace these courses, so that maybe in future, the 50-50 level ground that we are really advocating for can actually be attained?
Okay, I would say that we can start early. That is one. Involve them. The other day I saw a clip from, I think, a place in Uganda, whereby there is and it's a primary school. They are teaching their children, and then what they have taught them, they are going to practice it in the field. So they go to the farm. If they have taught them about farming, then they also take them to the field, and they go and they farm, and everybody is involved. Not the small gardens. For us, we have even our agriculture, how big are our size, plot sizes. It could be 5 by 5, or the largest is 10 by 10. But now this one is a big shaba, whereby, they are there, they are practicing. So we have started early, and we start from the class to the field. And whatever they do, children learn more by example than by being told. However, we are very good at telling them, but we rarely show them how to do. Yes.
And I suppose one way of doing that is what you have just mentioned, celebrating remarkable and successful stories. Well, this particular, 11th of February, well, as a person who was actually, identify the problem and you know where the problem is. So, who are we celebrating?
We are celebrating women in sciences, but specifically Madam Mary Curie. It's her birthday.
All right.
Yes, and remember, she is a chemist and a physicist. Yes.
All right.
Yes, nuclear physics and radioactivity.
All right.
Yes.
And because now we are coming to, at the very last mile of this very important discussion, and this I'll dedicate it for you, the last few minutes for you to actually, for your closing remark, so that you can, if there's something that, some sort of encouragement, message that you want to pass in regard even to this particular very important research that you are actually, undertaking.
Yes, okay, thank you. Apart from celebrating the achievers, STEM achievers, we also need to advocate for equality. And we also need to really mentor and even recognize our mentors. For example, in that program or that research that we did, it was discovered that the mentors were never given certificates. So they have nothing to show that they ever mentored or that they are mentors. And yet, I'm sure they were also trained. They also practiced so that they could be able to mentor our young ones. So we need that recognition. If we don't, then they will also not recognize the girls. So, it has to, is it up? Is it from top?
To down, trickle down.
Yes, let it trickle down. Let's identify, recognize, appreciate from up down, and they will never forget. Even those young ones, the PP1 will go and appreciate the daycare.
All right.
Yes.
Well, you talked about, and of course I know I said this will serve as your closing remark, and I'm sorry about that, but you talked about statistics, and a very interesting statistic is that in terms of labor force, it is a 50-50. It's a 50-50 share of some sort of work labor. But when it comes to the STEM courses, like you said, women still lag behind. Well, when you look at the employability rate, we have really made a very tremendous steps as far as trying to bridge the gap between men and women. However, in this part of STEM, then this is where we are really, trailing behind. Is there some lessons that we can actually, carry from the 50% of labor force so that we can actually, learn from it and transit it to now the other part that is really neglected?
That one that is neglected. Yes, somehow we can motivate them, encourage them, mentor them, build confidence in those young people.
Okay.
Because really for me to be able to hold a pipette and aburate and carry out the titration, I need confidence, otherwise they will break and they will cut me, and once I see blood I will run away from that class and I will not come back. But if I have the confidence, I'll be able to hold those apparatus, I'll be able to maneuver through the experiment, to observe, because scientists, we have to observe and observe well so that we don't give false results.
All right.
Thank you.
Professor Ruth Wanjau, thank you so much for making time.
Welcome.
And actually, if there is one thing that, rather one message that I've really got out of this conversation is hope.
Thank you. Yes.
And of course, this particular, very important discussion about women in STEM. And of course, remember on February, 11th of February, this particular year, I'll be celebrating globally women in STEM. And of course, Kenya like the rest of the world, will be celebrating one of their very own, women who have made a mark, and of course some quite of remarkable achievement in the field of science, technology, engineering, and maths. And one message to take home: there is hope, in as much as there is some sort of setback in this fight. But fear not, there is hope. Now, we take a short break. When we come back, of course, plenty more to